Hey there, good morning. Here's a Monday live stream. Okay, so we're going to talk about having covert narcissistic parents, what that kind of feels like, what it looks like, how you might miss it and not catch it for a long, long time, and some things to do to recover from growing up with that and what it does to your mind, right? And what it does to your everything, your emotions, your psyche, all of it. So, okay, so let's get started. I'm Lise Colucci, and I'm here to help you with everything related to narcissism and healing from it. But also have a question. Do you want to make change in your life? Is change the direction that you see that will help you get through whatever it is you're going through related to recovering from toxic people? And have you recognized yet that that's up to you to make that change, right? Unfortunately, but it is. So I'm here to help you with that. And let's go. Toxic parents, narcissistic parents, and now the covert narcissistic parent. So growing up with a covert narcissist can be confusing, you think? Right? Basically, to sum it up, it's not one thing that you see, and it's nothing that you see. It's underhanded, multiple ways that they get into your head and into your awareness and into your self-esteem, and as they raise you, growing you up, right? Helping you to grow up. It's this twisted, minuscule little things that a toxic narcissistic parent will do to the child that become a giant actual issue, right? And then become patterns. And those patterns, sometimes people don't see until they're well into their healing later as adults, or until they have a narcissistic, abusive, or narcissistic toxic relationship with someone in their in their current life. And then as they're trying to leave that, they look back and go, wait a minute, that's all the stuff my parents did, only I or one of my parents did, right? And I couldn't see it because, well, first of all, it felt normal. First, so let's talk about that. Yes, financial control. The other things, they control your everything. They control, it's this gaslighting that starts from a very, very young age, from birth, right? It's the toxic narcissistic parent making themselves the center of your world versus you seeing them as the center of your world because you're a child, and then learning to individuate and learning to become your own person. At about like the age of 4 or 5, children start to discover they're separate from their parents, right? And they start to ask questions about, who am I? How do I exist? They see that the world is big all of a sudden, and it isn't just you and the parent. Well, a toxic parent can't handle that. And they pull back on that child and force them back into staring at the parent as, the universe, as the center of the universe. So, did you miss the opening? I don't know. Maybe it's YouTube. Maybe I gave an opening and it wasn't there, but whatever. I don't know. Yeah, I can't tell until I watch it later if I do. The narcissist, Barbara's saying the narcissist never thinks it's their fault. Yes. Their victims think everything is the victim's fault. Yes. They are victims. Yes. 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 And the thing about it is that often people will say, and in my own experience with this, is you can't pinpoint what the toxic even is, because it's all covered up with sugary sweetness or a cold aloofness, or like the personality, so to speak, that they want, the mask, right? It's covered over with the mask, the parental role personality, the parental role mask that the toxic parent has and wears when they're around you. It's or when they're around others with you there. It's often that the covert manipulations and the toxic things they do are said under, in places where no one else can hear them, or deep within the family where everyone's covering up for it. And remember that narcissistic parents, they create a whole cult-like environment around them where they become the center and everything revolves around them, and they dictate the narrative that the entire family sees themselves as. So The covert narcissist will do this in a way where they are the victim, or where they are the nice guy, or where they are the one who takes care of everyone, the one who pleases everyone, the one that, they're playing the role of whatever it is they think is the perfect parent, right? Or a parent, or whatever it is they think, right? But underneath it all, their intent is to have supply coming back to them. And so that child never has a chance to separate, to become themselves, to individuate. And they also can't see it as toxic because they see it as love. And what does that set up in your life but a pattern in your life of seeking love from toxic people? And you don't even know that it hit you. It's different than having overt toxicity. When you have overt toxicity, it's still difficult. It's not any easier. It's just a different way of looking at it. You can talk about the toxic things that happen, the overt horrible things that happen, and there is no one that's going to say, well, my mom did that, seems fine, right? You talk about covert manipulation and people go, oh, that's just normal. That's just mom being a mom, or dad being a dad, or whatever. People don't hear it. And so you've got this hidden affliction really that's happening, and no one gets it. You have no validation, and you yourself have cognitive dissonance created because of that, because of the lack of people recognizing it. Even therapists, okay, you can go to a therapist even as a child, talk about it, and they'll talk about how you need to be more this or more that and fix yourself. I mean, not always. Some therapists are awesome at it, but this, at least at my age, right, this is how it was. Hopefully it's better now. But they really, really do. You said it perfect, Derek. They disguise, I'm going to use a different word there for YouTube's sake. They disguise the manipulations. You can read the chat if you want to know what the real word is, as caring. They do. Yes. And it's, I think to them, it is caring. Does that make sense? Because what they want is this dynamic. They want this dynamic where they are important in your life, instead of just realizing parents are important in your life. And regardless of what you do, you're going to be important because you're a parent, right? But they want it to be super focused back on them, whether they do it on purpose or whether they're doing it depending on the level of narcissism, right? And so, yeah, I guess they are caring for themselves and using children to do so, and then using adult children to continue doing so, and then controlling the adult children's lives covertly through guilt trips, through blame and shame. Blame and shame is a huge one with covert narcissism. How dare you? Yeah, that kind of, yeah. So it's not just bad parenting, guys. It's not just someone that didn't know what they were doing and struggled. Yes, it is that too, but it's not just that. Because as we grow as parents, I don't know any of you who are parents out there. Let me ask you this. When you're parenting and you realize you're doing something that could be not so great for your child's well-being, do you not make a shift? Do you not at least think about it? Do you not feel that pang of remorse for having not noticed you were doing this thing, and then do something about it, even if it takes forever to get there? You're working at it, right? You're aware and you're trying your best to like not backpedal, but sort of move forward, changing things so that it works more healthy for the entire family. Is that not what we do? Is once we're aware, right? And once we can catch the things we're doing, because no parent is perfect and no parent has the answers, right? There is no one way of parenting. There's no perfect thing. Okay. So, but once we catch something that doesn't work for our family, for our particular children as individuals, do you not see your children as individuals? If you don't, think about it. Maybe it's time to start, right? But they're individual people and they have individual requirements for what helps them be healthy people and what helps them grow and learn and feel supported and loved, right? Narcissistic people, they don't see you that way. They see you as an extension of themselves, as a possession, as a belonging, as a part of their family, right? What they created. You're their creation. Think about it. Like if you have a narcissistic parent, you are their creation in their world, in their minds. And you are theirs to, and then so everything they do under the guise of well-being for my child, well-being for the child, this is in the child's best interest. Every time I hear that from the mouth of a narcissist, it actually makes me throw up a little in my mouth because yeah, that's not what it is. What it is it's the well-being for their position in their child's life. It's the well-being, it's the best interest of what serves the narcissistic agenda, and forget the child. The child will go along with it because they smile and then they praise and then they love mom while they're doing this. And then the child's like, okay, this is great, right? But then what happens on the other end? The child isn't a person who is loved and appreciated for being a human being and who they are as an individual, but they are completely an object, right? And so they grow up. What do you grow up feeling? You grow up feeling like you don't know who the heck you are. Okay. It's hard enough to know who you are when you're raised in a healthy environment. That is the eternal question of humankind, right? Which is, who am I? What am I? Where'd I come from? What the heck is this life? Right? Like that's our striving as humanity, really, to for those of us who go deep inside, right? And some people, they don't care. They're just like, yeah, I'm a person, whatever, right? But for some people, that is a big struggle, no matter who you are and where you came from. Now, when you have that coupled with somebody who has raised you to be what they say you are lost to yourself and you were never able to even see who you are from the very beginning. And that to me is the worst part of covert narcissism or of any narcissistic parent, because you can get over the hurt of someone being unkind to you. Okay, you can. And there's ways and there's methods and it takes time and it'll always be a wound, yes, or a scar, right? But I love when Clarissa Pinkola says, we are all Scar Clan, and that is because, like, the wounded healers and the wounded empathic people, yes, it will always be there as a scar. Okay, let's push that aside a second and think about it. We can still have a glorious and beautiful life with scars, like just like a big tree that has a lightning strike. It still can be a big, beautiful tree. Okay, but what is very difficult to recover from is not knowing that you don't even know who you are. Because how do you know what you don't know, right? How do you become self when you don't even have a template for how to become self, or you don't even have um, the guidance to find self? Okay, and that is where my passion is when working with people. So if I'm sounding a little excited about it, that's why, because that is my passion in working with survivors in particular. Because you know what you guys are, you know what we all are? We are clay just waiting to be molded by ourself, by our own impressions of ourselves and by the guidance of people who see the good in us. And that is beautiful because you know what? It's an area that's never been tapped into. This is what we don't realize, is that even though we couldn't see ourselves forever, right? And even though you might feel like right now, I don't even know who I am. What is she talking about? Right? Like, even though you may think, I know myself and I am these things, and what you're describing is the sum of your traumas, not who you are, right? Even though all of that, there is a truth inside of you of who you are that has yet to even, like, you haven't even opened the window to peek out into that landscape. And that is a beautiful place, because that is about you and the influences you choose and the paths you take, and your ability to let go of judgment of yourself, your ability to you have the ability to let go of judgment of yourself. It is other people's judgment who taught you to judge yourself. And those are people you don't respect anyway. So you see what I'm saying? It's getting through this shield of toxic information that has been put around you and outside of it. And it is such a transformative place when you can get there. Is your life perfect? I'm going to say no. Okay. Is your life better? 100%. And is it, you can get there. It takes time. It takes trusting yourself to know that, like, say you come, I'll just use myself. Say you come to me as a coach and you're like, this isn't working for whatever reason. Trusting yourself to know, okay, I got what I could out of that and it's time to go elsewhere, or that didn't work and it's time to go elsewhere, and trusting the relationship that you can even do that. Or if you say you enjoy it and you're like, wow, this works. I'm not here to make you reliant. Okay. I'm here to help you become reliant on yourself. That's the point. And I think finding anyone, not just me, but like anyone who can do that for you and looking for that person to bounce it off of. We were not parented, you guys. When you were raised by toxic parents, you were not given the gift of parenting. You were groomed and you were manipulated and you were trained like a circus animal, right? And you were given guilt and you were indoctrinated into a narcissistic cultish way of thinking. So outside of that, sometimes we do need the mirror, and that's a good, it's mirroring isn't bad. Mirroring when a narcissist does it is used in a toxic way. Okay. Mirroring is human. So when you can mirror and you can find someone who can be that clear mirror to you about yourself, you have a chance to grow and you have opportunity. If you do it on your own, you can still do it. You can become that for yourself. It's a little more difficult, but you're gonna have to dive deep into self-help if that's the case, if that's what you want to do, and find your way out. Okay, so I'm gonna stop here and I'm gonna talk to you guys, and I'll come back here if we need it. Okay. You have triggers. What are you saying, Barbara? We've been trained to not set them off with their triggers. Exactly. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Right. And these parents don't, they're not parenting, and it's infuriating. Let's see. Chris is saying, I knew my mom was off, but I had no idea how damaged she was. Her shame was big, and she projected it onto me my whole life. And still, oh, yeah. Oh, yes. I think, okay, think about it. How many of you are parents? And if you're not, just try to imagine something you care about more than life itself. Okay. And you're responsible for it 100%. Okay. And you are raising it and you're responsible for its future in that regard. Think about the pressure. Think about like the pressure that we feel, the shame that we feel that we are not perfect going into it so that we can, can you remember if you're a parent, the first time you got upset with your baby, not baby, but young one, right? And the first time you did not see them as this glorious, perfect being, because that's what babies are, right? And little kids, they're these glorious, perfect beings that really is the core of who we are. We're all glorious, perfect beings. And I don't mean perfect in the sense of being perfect. I mean, all of your imperfections are wrapped up in there. All of your flaws and quirkiness and who you are is wrapped up in that is the perfection, and the perfection is in the imperfection of just being a human being. And the moment we see, like, we get upset or we have like, oh, my kid does this, like we have this, and it's like almost a devaluing feeling, and then we feel shame and we feel guilt and we feel horrible. But you know what, if we continued to hold them up to that standard, we would be raising little golden children, right? Like they have to realize that there's parenting involved, right? And life happens, and the truth is that like that child becomes an individual person, and or is already an individual person, but they start reacting and expanding their awareness of that, so they respond differently to people. And then we have this shame and guilt for our reaction, and then we back off, or we have a feeling sad or feeling upset or feeling remorse, right? Narcissistic people don't do that. What they're feeling is shame of who they are, shame of their past, the things that hurt them, the things they've never healed because they're not willing to step into the healing arena, right? Because their narcissism prevents them from giving an anything about anybody else truly. And instead they take ownership, right? And they take possession, and they use that child to project all of their own personal shames onto them. And then that child, if they're empathic, carries it like a weight all over them their whole life. Okay. Unless that child, as they become an adult, and hopefully, I mean, I have some clients that are in their 20s, and I just, oh, breaths of fresh air, because they are doing the work. Okay. And there's hope for that in that when I see it, because I think, oh my gosh, they found it, they found help, and they sought it, and they're doing what I didn't do till I was in my 40s. Okay. So yay for them. And yay if you're 70 and you're starting this now. It doesn't matter how old you are, really, except seeing it in young people has a different excuse me, it makes it clear that the awareness is getting out there, and that they're recognizing that they need to make change for themselves, just like we all do. Okay. So let's see. What are you guys saying here? Okay. Hey, Derek, let's see. They have to drag us down to their level. Well, yeah, because you're not an individual. You're there for that, right? In their worlds. Um, what else are we saying? Perfectly imperfect. Correct. Audrey, hello. I was told what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and how I did it wrong every day. I didn't know how to make a simple decision with my when my ex was gone. I'm learning. Well, yeah. Yes. Exactly. And when you grow up like that, and the thing is they'll do it a covert narcissistic parent, if we're talking about a parent, they'll do it in a way that with a smile on their face that makes it seem like they're teaching you something. And yes, they actually are teaching you something, to hate yourself, right? To not trust yourself, to have to turn to them for the answers because they are the sun and the moon, right? Okay. Chris is saying also you need to let go of the need for those toxic people to see that they are wrong. They never will, and you never have to, and you have to accept that for your own peace. 100%. 100%, not your business what other people's point of view is. It is simply their point of view. It is not your business what other people, even if they wronged you, it's not your business if they see it. The thing is, if you can get to that place, what you see is when people do have remorse, regret, want to change, you can be patient and see if that will happen. And when they don't, you'll see it quickly and you'll walk away. It creates a safety for yourself in that you can then trust yourself. We don't trust ourselves because we sit around waiting for these toxic people to change, thinking that by telling them 1,000 times the same thing is going to make a difference. Thinking that if they could just see how bad you hurt. Well, the thing is, they don't care that you hurt. It annoys them that you hurt. It annoys them when you cry. It annoys them when you are sad, all of that. They think, oh, you're just such a sad person. You're just so depressing, blah, blah, blah. Instead of seeing that the environment that they're in is pretty toxic, that you're in is toxic because of them, right? They're not going to see it. There's no point. There is really no point. And for your own peace, you're right. You have to let go and accept and allow them to be who they are. If a person is a person is not narcissistic and willing to make changes, they'll see it. They'll make changes. You don't need to it's not up to us to force them. You can say it once and then walk away. All right. Who is this? Oh my gosh, I cannot read your name. I'm gonna call you D. Those were likely my mother's words, or literally my mother's words. You can't trust what you think or feel, so you need to listen to me because I'm the only one that knows what's right for you. You keep getting it wrong. I'm here to tell you your mother's wrong. Guess what? You can trust what you think and feel. Can you trust what you feel 100%? No. Can you trust what you think 100%? No. What you can do is make choice, see what happens, and when it doesn't work, make another choice. And that is how you learn to allow things to be not perfect, to allow yourself to make mistakes, and to learn and grow about and understand who you are so that you can make choices from a different place. It takes time and energy and effort, and it's okay. But you can 100% know that your experience is your experience. It's not my experience. It's not their experience. It's your experience. And no one gets to tell you what you think and feel. They can help you question what you think and feel. They can help you question what you think to make sure it is truly what you think. Does that make sense? Because we think things. See, she's right in a sense because what she did is she manipulated your mind to think the way she thinks. Not that you authentically think the way she thinks, but you're having to think what's she thinking, how's she think about it? What would mom do? What would mom say? Okay. So you're not being able to trust what you think because you're always filtering it through what she was thinking. Oh, that's so twisted. Do you see what she did there? That's that thing where they tell you a truth about yourself, but it's not a real truth. It's a truth because of the situation you were in and because of their darn manipulation. I can't. I can't with that. So we have to get past that, right? And learn to trust yourself. And trusting yourself means making mistakes. It means making choice and realizing, you guys, 10 seconds later, you can make another choice. It is that simple. And and also that complicated, right? Okay. Um, Barbara, you love that. Huh? It's not my business what their point of view is. Yes. Will we ever really even know? No, we won't. And what we do when we question it and we force people into a different point of view. So if a narcissist is like, gaslight you, gaslight, gaslight, and you're like, wait a minute, that's not how it happened. And they're like, blah, 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 gaslight. See, I don't even listen to them. Right? Blah, blah, gaslight, gaslight. And you're like, wait, that's not how it really happened. And you keep arguing back and forth. You are never going to change their point of view. They're trying to force theirs on you. That's the game. But instead, if you just watch and you go, oh, gaslight, gaslight. Okay, that's their point of view. That's theirs. That ain't mine. And it never was. And I don't need to take it on. You then have freedom to make a choice to listen to it or not listen to it. And you can see where I go. Charlie Brown teacher, right? Aren't they always projecting their point of view onto us? Pretty much. I don't know about always, but I'd say majority of the time, yes. It's when they want something, I think what we feel sometimes is this, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I think we feel, okay, so they're projecting and you can kind of feel it. You can kind of notice, wait, this isn't me. Is it me? Am I wrong? Am I bad? Is it this? Is it that? Is that how I think? We're constantly like in question, right? And then we'll have moments where they're like, oh my gosh, let me tell you about this thing. And they tell you about something unrelated and it feels like a real conversation. And we take that as connection. What that is a narcissist kind of like relaxing the narcissism for a second and just talking about a point of interest. And then boom, as soon as it's interpersonal, that's when the narcissism comes back and is very obvious, right? And that's when the toxic things come back, when it becomes interpersonal. But we see those gaps as love bombing. We see those gaps as the good times. Those are not good times, guys. Those are just a narcissist relaxing the narcissism because their focus isn't on you. Yeah. Okay. What are we saying here? Gaslight alert. Yes, right. Hey, Breakthrough. And UNA, thank you for being here too. Of course, you'll never know because you've not walked in their shoes, but they're never walked in yours either. Exactly. And that is why we have to stop fixating on what they believe, what they say, them getting it, them understanding what they do to you. Let them have their stinking awful point of view. Let them have it. Let them have all of the fake, all of the lies. Why do we want to immerse ourselves in that world? I know we don't want to, but why are we continuing, right? Yeah. Mom never ever shut up. I know it's ongoing. Not that I shut up much, but but what I'm saying might be interesting. I don't know. I'm just kidding. Okay. Duchess of Amsterdam. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Duchess of Amsterdam. Committing to memory. All right. Darlene is saying, when my youngest was a teen, she had 2 offers for professional recording contracts. I was disappointed when she turned them down. I realized that was my dream, and I was the one offered the contract my parents would have pushed and guilted me into accepting. Why? I was just an extension of them, not an individual. Exactly. Exactly. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because we do see, and that's a good I'm sorry, I'm going all over the place. Darling, that is a good example of how we all project, right? Everybody, but you catch it. You catch it and you recognize the lesson in it. You recognize the teaching in it. You recognize what it is that you can do differently, how you can see things differently, how you can affect the lives of others differently based on how you interact with them. Even if you make a mistake and start pressuring her, right? Even if you made that error and started pressuring her to take it because it was your dream, right? And then backed off and said, whoa, hun, that was my dream. I'm so sorry I pressured you. What do you want? Right? Narcissistic people will never do that. It's a great example. And it's great that you learned what it was so that you could let her have her own life, right? And guide her through telling her what you think and feel, but that doesn't mean she has to think and feel it, correct? All right. And I think that makes us, we get really hard on ourselves, I think, when we parent after we've had toxic parents. But I actually think we're pretty darn good. So, okay. Super insightful. Yes. Okay, you guys, I'm gonna head out in a minute here. I have to start my day with people I'm talking to in a few minutes. So I just wanted to come on and live stream instead of making a video. And I'll be here tomorrow, I hope. That is my plan. At the regular between 10 and 11 Pacific, somewhere in there, I will start trying to narrow it down to an actual time and I'll get there. Maybe. So part of my, I think it's my one, what do you call it? Like, not one, but it's one of my obstinacies in life is don't make me set a time. Give me freedom. But yeah, no, I get it because we need to be able to get here. Correct? All right, you guys. I hope this was helpful for you. If you need anything, coaching, group coaching, peer support, anything like that, or if you just need to shoot me an email for any reason, all the info is in the main description of every video. And I will see you guys next time. Again, my name is Lise Colucci. Talk to you later. Don't forget the thumbs up and the subscribe. It helps this channel get out there to those who might need it. So yeah, and let me know in the comments if you guys are watching this as a replay, what your experiences is or what if this spoke to you in any way. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Thanks to oh yes, and thanks to the mod team for being here. Totally appreciate you guys and love you. Take care.